Hi, Stuart.
Hello, sir.
How are things these days?
Things are good. You know, we're here at the convention, and it's nice to be here. It's good to see USABP in action, and the loving support that comes really down from the top. It's very nice to be present in it.
So, Stuart, I know that your vision has changed over time. Do you want to talk a little bit about what your vision is these days?
Well, my vision, or maybe it's, core energetics. Well, let me say it differently. Where I am in my life is I'm more aware these days, more than ever, that the skills that we have and the training that we have and how much knowledge that we have is not really what makes people's lives change. It's not really what makes them heal. It's not really what makes them have significant improvement in their fulfillment of life. I think what it is that does that is what I would call a spiritual connection.
So not the training, not the skills, but a spiritual connection.
Yeah, I don't mean you don't need to be trained. I mean, you can't walk in off the street and say, okay, I'm a spiritual man, you're healed, But I think the training needs to sort of take a back seat. The training needs to serve the intuition, or needs to serve what I would call the spiritual connection. Serve your higher power, your God self, your core, is what we call it in core energetics.
So the spiritual connection and the intuition.
Yeah, I think it's the same in a certain way. The intuition comes from your connection to something that's not in your mind, something greater than a concept, something greater than what do I do now? I don't know what to do. I'm the one that's got to do it. I have to know how to fix this problem. I think it's just the opposite. I think if the prayer is, please God help me not know what I have to do, just be with this person, see them and love them, the skills that you have manifest, and you take a parallel journey with the client that enables them to go to the place that they need to go.
So you get out of your own way, out of your own mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what happens in a session for those moments? How does it manifest?
Good question. And does it always? I think the goal is to have it manifest as much as possible. Again, for me, the tool is prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I think in some ways, the people that don't know about core energetics, we get a certain kind of a bad rep from core energetics as a catharsis for getting rid of your anger or getting out aggression.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of our work, has to do with the shadow side and moving energy, but it basically, the main teaching of the work from John Parakis has always been about the heart. And I think what we're doing more and more is, whatever you do, if there's no heart involved, it's not going to help.
Yeah.
It's about the relationship with you, with the practitioner, and about the relationship having a connection that involves your heart.
So relationship with the heart, and you say that's all this stuff about anger, about the dark side. So how do you...
So that doesn't go away, and then we work with that. But let me answer your other question, which I didn't fully answer. The thing that I'm sort of proposing is that we actually, in the middle of our sessions, pray.
Mm-hmm.
To people who don't have and don't accept it as a prayer concept, something you're aware something isn't happening that should be happening, so you stop, and it doesn't have to be out loud. A client doesn't have to know, but it's something that gives you an intention to take the work from a different place in yourself. Not about having the client do something. The prayer is for you to get out of your way. Please God help me not have to do anything.
Mm-hmm. So I want to just check with you if calling it prayer and the sense of please God is important, or if it's okay for somebody who would not, traditionally think about God to do this work.
Thanks for the question. I mean, and I think it's what comes up. I mean, I think when I teach this thing in places that aren't actually part of the core training, there's a lot of, I don't believe in God, what do I do in this kind of place? I surely don't believe that there's an entity. I mean, I think these are things that many people feel. I think for me to sort of own and claim that I do believe at this point in my life is like a major thing for me, because I didn't always. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it has. I think the people who say that they don't believe in God can be the most spiritual people you ever meet. You know. Yeah. I think it's a matter of having a capacity to contact your inner wisdom. You know, your own inner truth.
So I want to just stay there a little bit, because since you're mentioning God and prayer, you know, and as something that is so crucial, it makes sense for people who are not necessarily familiar with core to not think that there's some kind of a litmus test that you have to believe in God or a certain preconception of God in order to be comfortable in the core community.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, there's no. It's not. The belief is not a belief in a God. The belief is that there's something beyond your mind. I think you do have to feel and believe. I think anybody that's doing this work with whatever modality you're using, if your work is working, the reason it's working is you're doing something that's not mind directed. It's something that's coming from a connection. We all do that at some point or other.
So really, in a way, the statement is that as you hear God, you can very easily interpret it as, I'm just talking about something that's beyond your mind, something larger than just your mind, a sense, a moment of wanting to stop and connect to something larger than your mind.
Could even call it simply inner wisdom.
Inner wisdom.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm calling that God. You know.
Okay. So there is something that feels right for you to call it God, but it doesn't have to be for somebody who's involved in this work.
It's, you know, I think in my life, the concept of there being some spiritual entities, you know, is a big concept for me personally. Mm-hmm. But I don't think in terms of teachings or that anybody has to have that concept to understand the concept that I'm trying to express here.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a belief that there is that there's a being that's a God, right?
But the belief is in that inner wisdom, or that something larger, whatever name it has, that one can contact by going beyond skills, training, moment, mind, striving, and just making room for it.
Yes. Yes. And to answer your other question that you asked before, which was, so where does the anger work come in the session, or how is that related? It's okay that I take you back there.
Sure, that's great. Yeah.
Because the energetic part of core energetics is most of the time not about anger. It's about moving energy to get somebody more present in their body, so that they're able to take a journey. I know that whole sentence hang together to make sense.
Yeah.
Because people come to a session, or people come to therapy, you know, pay a lot of money, go to a lot of stuff, and do everything they can to avoid taking a journey. You know.
Yeah.
So the places physically that are involved in helping someone avoid the journey is locked in the body. I mean, I think most of us that are doing this work have some form that agrees with that. And I think we all have different ways of what we do with it. But the core energetics way is a charge-discharge model, which puts something physical on the places in the body that are held. And so hitting, for instance, or punching, or doing something of that nature, what the purpose of it isn't to be angry or to kill something. The purpose of it is to release the holding places in the shoulders and the upper part of the body. Mm-hmm. And when that's done, you know, what happens is the person becomes more present in the moment, more grounded, more available to go to a deeper, more difficult place than if they hadn't done it.
Yeah. So really, the concept is meaningful is that's why John Pierakos always made the link between consciousness and energy, and not just about energy, not just about the movement.
Exactly. Well, if I could say that differently, which, I mean, I'm agreeing with you 100%, but if someone has a mental experience that they understand something, a consciousness experience, it doesn't make life change. They understand it, and the next day things are the same. If someone has a deep emotional experience, and without understanding what happened, without the consciousness, it also doesn't make life change. You need both.
Yeah.
You need emotional experience and the conscious understanding of it.
But also what you were describing just before of moving energy. It's not just anger work, it's not just expressing anger, it's moving energy. And this is why in the core energetics model it is possible to move energy as a prelude to doing further work.
Exactly. I love that sentence. As a prelude to do further work.
Yeah. It's not necessarily that you're going to wait for somebody to have a certain movement that's going to turn into the movement.
Exactly.
But, at that moment, you do the moving simply to free up the energy, to get the energy and movement, give you the momentum to do work.
And there's a lot of people that disagree with that. That would say, well, you're setting up an artificial situation or something. If somebody comes in, they may want to talk about something else, and I'm saying the beginning of the session, you have somebody move their energy so you make them more available to take the journey.
Right.
Even though it's not like, it's in a certain sense, it's not organic because they didn't come in with something that sent them in the direction of moving energy. It's just a mechanical thing.
Right.
You said, let's do it.
But then it has a different function that when energy moves organically, because at that moment you're simply moving energy to start getting some momentum to make it possible to move.
And it does, even though it starts as a mechanical thing, it has a profound effect. I mean, the fact that you're initiating it from a conceptual place in a certain way, saying let's go do this, it doesn't change the fact that it has effect. When you do and you move the energy and you do it in a way that's meaningful, it's going to affect you, and you're going to be in a softer, more available, more vulnerable place.
Right. And it doesn't mean that there's not times where actually energy you take actions in an organic way.
Of course. Yeah, that would be different.
So it's not a thing of just it's always going to be organic or it's never be.
Exactly.
But in core energetics you have two moments of moving energy, one that's organic and one to simply create energy.
Exactly. I'm recommending more and more that people do this creating one. Because what I see when it's done is that the session is able to go deeper faster. It doesn't mean you won't get there.
Yeah.
It means you'll get there. Someone will talk for half an hour and then move some energy. The session's almost over by the time they get to a place that they're available to go someplace. If they do it the other way around and move the energy first, the conversation, the talk goes much deeper, much faster.
Yeah. So that really in that part, energy is really a means to an end, a vehicle, a way to change the tenor of the session.
To make the feelings and the vulnerability more available.
Yeah. So as this happens, what's the role of what we were talking about before, of the moment of prayer?
Well, the prayer might be something to the effect of, please. Again, I'll stay with my words, which has a God concept to it, but it would be something like, please God, help this person be able to go to the deepest place they possibly can. The prayer would be like, while they're doing it, the prayer is to sort of support their journey. Most of the prayer that I'm trying to talk about in this, that I'm suggesting that people do that I think isn't done, I think what I'm saying about wishing the client well and calling it a prayer, I believe most people that are doing the work that's working are doing that in some form, whatever you're calling it. The thing that I think most people are not doing is praying when nothing is happening. You know, when something, not nothing is happening, but you don't know what to do. I mean, we all have places in the work where it seems to be stuck, if I could put quotes around that. Now, what happens when the work gets stuck is 90% of the time the therapist feels responsible to manifest something and does some kind of action or behavior for the purpose of feeling responsible to fix something. And invariably, whatever they do does not come from a core-centered place that's going to really help.
So I'm going to maybe try to translate that in different words to see if it would feel
okay.
You know, to see how, without using God, it might work. So, as a therapist, you're in the middle of a session where suddenly you feel stuck, nothing's happening, and the normal human tendency is to start to feel responsible, to feel a weight and a sense of trying to figure it out. And at that moment, what's really important is to remember, I don't have to figure it out. I have to just let it happen and trust in something larger that is going to actually organically bring something good from that, and have a sense of trust that something good can come out of that.
Yes, I would add a little piece to it. I love what you said, Serge. The thing I would add is I'd even make it stronger. Like the prayer for me is, please God, help me not have to do anything. The strong place that I want to say is, at that time, the task is not to do anything. Not, you know,
right.
And to, when you're saying trust, I agree. It's to have the responsibility for the journey be the client's, not yours.
So a profound sense of acceptance that what is at this moment is okay, and that it's maybe right for the client, and you're not going to try and manipulate it into something.
Exactly. You're not going to control it, you're not going to fix it, you're not going to make it better, you're not going to get credit for it, you're not going to get blamed for it.
Yeah.
None of that.
So, you know, in that sense, a very deep sense of acceptance of what is.
An acceptance that there's a humility in it.
And a humility, yeah.
There's an acceptance that it's not my great magical powers that are making this person better.
Yeah. And maybe part of, I can see how, you know, in body-related therapies, there is a sense of wanting to have the godlike powers, because so much of what you can do in a body psychotherapy, particularly one like core, which is very spectacular, is to create spectacular effects. So the humility is the counterpart to that.
When you create spectacular effects, you have to ask who they're for. No, is this for the client or for me to create a spectacular effect? Because the effect doesn't, you know, spectacular sometimes looks very small.
Yeah. So maybe that's a good transition to the part that for many people from the outside think about core as something that is, you know, a lot of noise and high effects, and can core actually also be softer?
Core is softer. I mean, I think so.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think everything I've been saying is about the soft place in core. You know, I think, you know, again, to go back to John Baracus, his teachings had to do with it's all about your heart. It's about love. It's about your heart. You know, and I think that it is all about love and about your heart. I'm calling it spiritual, however you want to call it. But if you don't have that, the best technique that's most perfect therapy, the greatest interventions with the wisest wisdom, are not going to affect anybody.
Yeah.
It's about the relationship. The clients come for you, you know, for the practitioner. They come because they have something about you that appeals to them. And the chemistry in that is what makes this stuff happen. The chemistry in the relationship, and the chemistry means your genuine ability to see them and care about them, which is the soft place. From that place, you can do a hard technique. They can work on their killer and their cruelty, and we all need to work on our killer and our cruelty.
So I want to spend a little more time on this, because it is a little paradoxical for somebody who's not familiar with it. The part about, the killer, the hard thing, the beating up, the anger, the energy, and also talking about the love and the softness.
Okay. So, what does it mean? In core energetics we call it the lower self. The shadow self. Everybody's got lots of different names for it, but the concept is that we all have a place in us that's cruel, hostile, doesn't care about anyone else, wants to take what we can get and push anyone out of our way that's in our way. The problem is that place is so distasteful to us that we don't admit it to ourselves. Mm-hmm. Other people see it more than we see it, usually. So the work is about having permission to see it and still know you're okay.
And spiritual, so that there's you don't put an either or. Far from that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like to accept that you have this place in yourself. It's not all of you, and that owning it and revealing it and making contact with it lets it go away. It doesn't. Mm-hmm. Well, go away is the wrong word. Lets it not harm you and harm others. It lets it take a back seat, because you become aware of it, you become conscious of it, you don't become its slave. When it's unconscious, it rules you in some way.
Right, so it's not a question of purifying yourself so this place disappears from you. It's inherently in all of us.
Exactly. If we're going to stay human, we're going to die with it.
Right.
And it doesn't. We don't even want it to go away. You don't want to eliminate. What you want to do is make it conscious so it doesn't have to affect you. Mm-hmm. In the times that it's just doing its thing without your awareness.
Yeah.
I think that's true with all our protections and defenses too. Mm-hmm. You don't want to eliminate them. You want to know when they're there, so you can choose to not go there. You could choose away from what we would call the higher self, the God self, the place of wisdom, mm-hmm. the core.
So there's a very loving attitude and also a very accepting attitude to who we are.
Yes, and I think if anything comes across from this thing, for me, the message I would like to help have is that people become aware that core energetics is a gentle method. It's not, it uses the energetic component, and it uses, the lower self work, but not for the place of getting it out, or of being hard, or of exploring aggression. Mm-hmm. It uses it for the place, just the opposite, to get to the core and the higher self and the softer places, and to live from your vulnerability.
Yeah, so to go beyond that shell.
Exactly.
That becomes, it's possible to go beyond it once you're really aware of its existence.
Exactly. And the shell we would call the mask,
The mask.
Which is the place that's presenting the face to the world, but isn't really your truth.
Mm-hmm. So maybe I want to touch on some other things that you have introduced and added, is a part about intensives and working with other people, and also the whole aspect of community. Wow. As part of the healing process, and see if you want to say a few words about that.
Few words. How long do we have? I could talk about this for days now. I'm not sure how to summarize, but maybe to say, I have a very strong connection to community. Mm-hmm. It's my belief that people heal and take a deeper journey and learn. In an institution where you teach, if there's a community involved, people learn faster and better and deeper. Mm-hmm. if the community is safe, if they can ask questions that are stupid questions and not feel humiliated for asking them, you're creating an environment where people can learn. If there's a community of students that are ahead of you and behind you, it creates a certain safety. I also believe that that teaching is done better in a community, and the way we do it at Core Energetics, we don't have individual teachers, we have teams of teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So each year of the training has a team of usually it's someplace between 6 and 8 teachers that are there for that class. It doesn't mean they're all in the class at the same time, but they all prepare the classes together. So there's a community aspect on the teacher side,
mm-hmm.
and there's a community aspect on the student side. There's a lot of stuff done together, and it's done in resonance so that all the trainings are going on at the same time. So that in itself creates a big community. I mean, our training weekends have 120 people. You know?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of possibility. It creates a certain excitement. It creates a certain eros, you
mm-hmm.
know. And I believe that that's much more conducive for learning and teaching.
Right.
So now intensives.
But so maybe just to stay for the teaching itself, that in a way a key part of the experience of learning Core Energetics is not just the curriculum, is not just whatever happens in the classroom, but is actually that experience of being in a very intense community.
Exactly.
Is an integral part.
Yeah, very much. And it isn't just classes. I mean, you're there for 4 days. And things happen in the evenings. There are programs, and there's community meetings that are not like business meetings. They're process meetings. There's a lot of process. The belief is, you know, my belief is very strong that you have to take your own journey.
Yes.
You can't help someone on a journey without taking the journey.
But just the part I want to emphasize is that it's not just, in a way, a journey that you go in and out of, but when you're in the training part in the 4 days, it's a very intense process.
Exactly. And a lot of the work that I do is with the faculty. Like when I said there's 6 to 8 people on a team, they get into competition with who's going to do what and who's better, and I have meetings with them in each training to deal with their issues with each other, so that they come to a more unitive place with each other, and they model a certain kind of caring for each other that transmits to the students and enables them to feel safer to take their journey. Right? And
part of the safety is not in people being perfect, but in the sense that there is ongoing process.
That everybody is on it. It's working on themselves.
Yeah.
Including me.
Yeah.
Lord knows I'm definitely not finished.
And so I just cut you off when you were going to talk about the intensives.
Well, I mean, I think that the truth of the matter is that the teams for the faculty came out of my idea of the intensive. I mean, which was it took me something like 10 years to create it, but it's an experience that's actually as part of the training. The students at the end of their 3rd year, it's a 4-year training, at the end of their 3rd year, they have an experience for 4 days where clients come and pay to have, you know, to have an intense experience, and teams of 3 students work with one client. So the client has 3 therapists working with them, and it creates community again. You have the community of the therapists and the clients, and they have different experiences. The clients have not just sessions with the therapists, but interactive experiences that help them, that come out of the sessions to help them take their journey.
Yeah.
So it's a deep process for the clients and a deep process for the therapists. And the therapists also get immediate supervision, because before they do the sessions and after they do the sessions, they meet with me and we talk about what they've done and what they're going to do and any supervision that might be required, and the same kind of thing of dealing with competition. So all of that happens, you know, in a residential environment, and the people who are the clients they're there only for 3 days. have a really very deep, profound experience.
Yeah.
It's very transformational.
And so that in a way, this is something where the number of therapists that are for a given client and the process that the therapists themselves are part of create a very powerful container.
Exactly. They create a community. Or even, it starts out actually as two communities, you know. There's a therapist community and there's a client community. There's a giver's community and a receiver's community. And my premise is that when you're truly giving from a place that's there, that has come to this experience for the sake of giving to these clients whatever it is you possibly can, at the end of it, you don't know who the givers are and who the receivers are.
Yeah.
That kind of giving, you receive so much, it's indescribable.
And maybe that again is part of the spiritual aspect of Core.
Exactly. I think it is. I think it's the source of it. The source of spirituality is generosity and giving. I mean, I believe we have two life tasks. You know, and one of them is to deal with our own personality distortions and defenses and to heal them as much as we can in this lifetime. And the other life task is to do whatever we can to help others.
Thanks, Stuart.
Thank you very much, sir.
This recording is part of the Somatic Mindfulness and Relational Psychotherapy podcast. See the website relationalimplicit.com.